Okay, what's up, YouTube? I had a conversation over a statement that I made in my video, and I made it in a couple of videos where I've said I did have some growing to do, and there has been women that I have, said no to or didn't necessarily uh, see them in that way, but now, if I could do it all over again with, my maturity and where I am now, I would definitely, see where things could have gone. I've clearly said that. Um, and I got a PM saying that, why is it that you can say that, Pink Elephant, but if I said that as a black woman, it's a no-go. How come we can't say we've grown and, we have matured? First of all, let me say this. That's not what you're saying, though, right? That's the problem. Going back to what I said before about, being straight up. You guys are not saying that, hey, I've grown and I've matured. You're saying I was always checking for you. You weren't checking for me. You guys are trying to run game. And that's the problem. Be straight up. I've already said, we know, the brothers already know, right, in terms of who's been checked for and who's not, been checked for. So you're not going to really come at a dude and tell him, oh, I've always been checking for you, because it's going to be a lie, right? But I understand that people grow and people mature. See, you write it off as you being done dirty or you've been lied to, you've been manipulated, and you're not being upfront, right? I'm clearly saying what you guys are afraid to do, right? I've said, yes, I've made some poor choices in the past, or, I've tended to like a certain type, but now I've grown and I've matured, so it's not even about Pink Elephant lowering his standards, no, right? I've increased what I'm looking for, and therefore that's kind of opened the door for different doors that have been previously closed, right? But for y'all, you're not saying that, right? You're not saying, hey, I've grown, I've matured. I hadn't really factored in what I really needed. I was being simple-minded. Y'all not saying that. Maybe you are, but overall you're not. That's why our brothers are like, save it. Save it. And you've seen that happen. You'll have chicks who know they weren't checking for a certain type. And instead of kind of, being clean and being forthcoming and being honest, which would in turn win them some respect, you come off the opposite. Oh, where have you always been? Oh, I've been, done so dirty. I don't know. I have my reservations. How do I know you're going to be about it? I might save all the bullshit, right? Um, so I'm just going to keep it real with you. But I'm already aware that, a chick that I may meet now may, not have been checking for me in the past. I already understand all that, right? So you're good there, just don't lie about it, right? All you have to do is show me where you are now in terms of how you've grown and what you've learned, right? And then we're good. Uh, but the reason why, in part, that I say that you guys really can't do it, right, in terms of going to that whole, well, I wasn't checking for you before, but I'm checking for you now. I say that because it's how you guys do it. Now, if I told it, if it didn't work out with the chick and I wasn't really into her in that way, it wasn't because I felt like I was better than her. It was never about that. It was never about me saying, I'm above you. For whatever reason, maybe I wasn't into her like that. Maybe our personalities didn't click. Maybe I just wasn't that attracted to her like that. But for whatever reason, it was never on some, I'm above you, I'm better than you, how dare you. That was never my swag. That was never my vibe, right? I always had a level of appreciation for the black people overall that I was around. I always had a certain level of respect, and I always felt, and I still do feel, like we were on the same level, right? So for whatever reason, it may not have worked out, because I just didn't, feel you in one way or maybe in more than one way. The only time I felt like I was better than somebody is when people would try to lie about their shit, right? When people would try to have this sort of double life where they would give off this sort of image of them being so self-righteous, but we all know what's going on behind the scenes for both black men and women, right? You know, if you are clear with what you do, then hey, do what you have to do. It's like the chick who is a flip and she doesn't really hide that shit. Like, I don't agree with what you do, but at least I respect you, as opposed to the chick who wants to talk about God in the Bible, but we know you was at the Kappa house last night. So why are you trying to front, right? You know, those are the people that I feel better than, the people who want to lie and kind of live double lives and act like we don't know what's really good. But apart from that, you know, if it didn't work, it wasn't because I felt like I was better than you, I'm above you. It wasn't like that. But on the flip side, right, when it was the women who were on that, you know, for whatever reason, it's not working out, it was always on that I'm better than you. I'm above you, right? I'm a starter. You're a bench player. How dare you? Do you know who I am, right? And that is a big difference. It's the manner in which it happens. You know, even with my sister, and I'm not saying that y'all do this on purpose. Some of y'all do that, but some of y'all may not even know you're doing it. And I've even told my sister, hey, listen, you know you're going to get a lot of attention, you know, and that has been happening since the girl was in the 8th grade. You know, and I've talked to her from an early age, hey, this is how you let somebody know it's not working out. You know, and I made it clear to her, hey, you know, you make sure you don't want to disrespect anybody or put anybody down, but just say, hey, it's not working, or I don't see you in that way. You know, make sure that you don't come off in a condescending sort of manner, right? Because it's not about you being better. It's just not, hey, you're not into that person. You know, it's like me not being into, let's say, Filipino food. You know, I'm not going to say, oh, this shit is trash. This is beneath me. It's just not my cup of tea. You know, I respect it, but, you know, I just don't eat it, right? But for y'all, it's literally on that I'm above you. I'm better than you. Who do you think you are, right? And there's no appreciation for where you're at. See, I can let you down, but at the same time not disrespect you and appreciate what you have going on and fully acknowledge who you are, right? So for me, it's like you can't hate me. You know what I mean? Like, you can't hate me when we're done. You know, I don't really have, like I said, any voodoo dolls where some chick is, you know, poking it with the needle because I disrespected her or I made her feel a certain way. You know, if I wasn't into her like that, I did it in a respectful manner. And I acknowledged who they were and, you know, where they were trying to go. So for me to, I guess, I don't want to say go back, but now explore areas that I didn't want to explore before, I don't have a hard time doing that, to be honest with you. I really don't, right? Because I never felt like they were beneath me. I always felt like we were on the same level, but for whatever reason at the time, I just really wasn't into what they had to offer. Whether it was physical, personality, like even for me, a big part was personality, right? A lot of the personality types that I like now, I didn't like before, to be honest with you, right? So you grow. But for y'all, it's completely different. It's literally on this I'm better than you. I'm above you. Right? Going back to what I said before about, you know, self-esteem amongst black women. It's not this whole idea of black women having low self-esteem and that they need to be built up. The problem is their self-esteem puts y'all in a position where you think that you are up there. Right? It's like the chick who has low self-esteem and she's like an 8, right? But she thinks she's like a 5 or a 6. I don't know, you know, what happened to her, right? But for black women, it's the exact opposite. You know, you got the chicks who are the 6s and the 7s who think that they're 9s and 10s. So they're walking around on some, I'm above you, nigga, I'm better than you. Who do you think you are? Don't disrespect me. And it's just like, word? You know, that's how it is right now, right? And that's the biggest difference. So for a lot of brothers, it's literally on some like, yo, Why are you trying to fuck with me now? Right? You thought you were better than me. It's one thing for you to acknowledge who I was, but we weren't necessarily clicking like that. You know, I wasn't your cup of tea, which is life, right? Which is perfectly normal, right? And it's another thing to come off as I'm better than you. I'm above you, right? You know, it's like me being a BMW and they want a Maserati, right? I'm above you. So all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know, I'm trying to drive your BMW. I'm like, fuck you. You already said that I'm trash, right? You said you were a Maserati, and I'm a BMW. But for me, I'm like, I'm a BMW, right? And you're like a Mercedes, right? So I'm not into, you know, driving a Mercedes, but I recognize that you're quality because I'm also a BMW. But right now, you know, you're not my cup of tea, but I recognize that you're on par. We're both on level. So I can then come back to you and say, hey, you know, things have changed. You know, I've explored and, you know, weighed some things. Hey, and I think that, you know, I want to try your Mercedes-Benz. Right? I've always recognized it. But now I think that I can appreciate it, right? And we can go from there. But y'all, fuck your BMW, I'm a Maserati, right? And all of a sudden, you want to drive the BMW, and it's just like, no. You already trashed me. You already put me down, right? So, I mean, that's the biggest difference there, to be honest with you, right? When we tell y'all no, it's not on some we think that we're better than you or above you, right? We really do. Like, I cannot appreciate, I cannot appreciate, you know, black people overall who are doing what they have to do, right? You know, I'm always going to have a certain level of appreciation. I don't care if you're blue collar, white collar, in the middle. I will always appreciate you, right? So most of the black women that I've ever come in contact with, like I said, I've always had a level of appreciation for what they were doing, all the pitfalls that they had to navigate. I've always had a certain level of respect. I never felt like I was better than any one of them. Any one of them. Except for the ones who, like I said before, wanted to lie and act like no one knew. But for y'all, can you honestly say that? Can you honestly say that? Right? You know, and it's really unfortunate because some of y'all doing it on purpose. I don't know if for some of you guys if it's a learned behavior and you honestly don't know what you're doing, but it's irrelevant. Because for a younger black man, if he is told by black women, nigga, you are beneath me, you can't go back from that. You can't. Whether you meant it or not, you can't go back from that. Especially black men. You can't tell a dude who's trying to do everything that is said that black men don't do, right? Everything that black men get knocked for. He's doing all that, and he's beneath you. Fuck you trying to be with him or whatnot. You know, it's that lack of appreciation. Like I said before, you know, if you say yay or nay, that's up to you. I can understand if I'm not your cup of tea, right? But at least have that level of appreciation. Because if I tell you no as a black woman, best believe I'm going to understand who you are. I'm going to appreciate who you are. So if it doesn't work out, you're not going to have any sort of voodoo doll of pink elephant and you're stabbing it and you're, you know, pouring ox blood all over that shit and doing all sorts of voodoo shit to, you know, my picture or my doll. Right? You know, you can best believe that. So that's my vid. You know, I think this is very important because this oftentimes gets overlooked. Hell yeah, I feel like I can go back and say, hey, what's good now? I know I wasn't working in the past because I know I've never disrespected you. And you can't say I came at you foul or I mistreated you or I made you feel lower than what you were. You can never say that. Right? So that's my vid. Take it easy. God bless.